Prince Charles has laid out the government's agenda for the coming year as he delivered the Queen's speech at the opening of Parliament. Now, Charles, standing in for his mother, Queen Elizabeth, who for the first time in 59 years wasn't able to attend, outlined Boris Johnson's proposals on education, energy and the economy. The Prime Minister heads into the new Parliament session on the back of disappointing local election results, a cost of living crisis and a growing row over the Northern Ireland Protocol. But this year's policy agenda appeared to be wide-ranging. Well, as political deadlock grips Northern Ireland, reporter Tig Enright explained the growing concerns felt by Sinn Féin and DUP leaders as they struggle to form a government.
Well, I think it's fair to summarise that we are now looking into a new chapter of political impasse in Northern Ireland, where I think people have become accustomed to their government being suspended as much as being at work, and a new series of political repeats which we're going to hear over and over again in the coming months. The unionists in the DUP, which had been the biggest party in Northern Ireland, no longer is after the recent elections, urging the government here in London to address its concerns about the Northern Ireland Protocol before it will entertain the notion of entering into government, now as a potentially junior party to Sinn Féin, the biggest nationalist party. The message from its leader, Michelle O'Neill, is let's get on with forming that new government, this time with us at the helm. And she summarised that the Northern Irish public can't be a pawn in the British government's game of chicken with the EU. And that, I think, pretty much hits it on the nail there. You know, there have been warnings here over the past week that the UK will tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, many people were saying, where have we heard that before? We had been expecting it to be mentioned in the Queen's speech today, but it really barely got a mention. It simply talked about the importance of maintaining the internal economic links between the various parts of the UK, perhaps because reportedly some voices at Cabinet urged more caution, warning that it could spark a trade war between the UK and the EU. And at this particularly precipitous economic moment, that's the last thing that those voices would like to see.
Well, we're joined now from Belfast by Dr. Claire Rice, a Research Associate for the Department of Politics at the University of Liverpool. Welcome to the programme. Thank you for being with us this evening. The DUP's now been very clear that it will not essentially return to this executive until changes have been made to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Where does this leave the government?
In short, it leaves it in a very difficult situation. So essentially the way our institutions are designed in Northern Ireland, it means that we have a joint office at the head of government. So we have a First Minister and a Deputy First Minister who are different in name only. They're actually the one office. Now, the DUP, as was mentioned just before I come on here, was returned as the second largest party. They're in a position where they are able to nominate to the position of Deputy First Minister as opposed to First Minister, which is a post that they previously held. And Sinn Féin is able to nominate to the post of First Minister. So there's a bit of uncertainty around that in terms of what will happen. But the main issue that we're facing at the moment is with regard to the Northern Ireland Protocol. And the DUP is refusing to move in any regard with in terms of forming an executive here in Northern Ireland until the protocol issue is solved. And we don't know what way that'll go. We don't know how long it'll take, but we're certain that we're in for a protracted period of political uncertainty here in Northern Ireland.
So we're at a stage now where essentially the ball is in the court of the UK and the European Union when it comes to negotiating on the Northern Ireland Protocol. What are the chances for any breakthrough?
It's very difficult to say at this stage because there are so many moving parts, and it's important to highlight as well that actually these conversations that are happening between the United Kingdom and the European Union are conversations and issues that the politicians within Northern Ireland, it doesn't fall within the limits of what they are able to do themselves. So this is something that's happening very much externally to what is being seen in Northern Ireland. Now, we know that there are talks ongoing between the United Kingdom and the European Union, but they are getting increasingly fraught, let's say. We had the Queen's speech today where there was kind of a latent mention to the potential maybe in the future. There was a bit of a ambiguous language around the internal market for the United Kingdom that leaves the door open to potentially seeing legislation coming forward in the future that might move to disapply some aspects of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which of course is legally the antithesis of what the protocol is intended to do. So there are issues there. And we know, of course, on the European Union side, they have issued a statement as well, being very clear in saying that the protocol is not up for renegotiation, but there is some space there for talks to be had in terms of essentially smoothing out how the protocol works in practice. So there are lots of moving parts. There's a lot of tension between the UK and the European Union. And all we know at this stage is that it's more than likely not something that will be solved overnight.
You put it very diplomatically, talking about motions to disapply some elements of the Northern Ireland Protocol. There's actually been, of course, whisperings for a long time about the UK simply ripping it up, and those whisperings have come to the fore once again. If the UK was to go ahead and do that, to rip up the Northern Ireland Protocol, an internationally negotiated law, at a time when it's asking countries like Russia to respect international laws and norms, what kind of message would that send?
Well, to be blunt about it, it wouldn't paint the UK in a very favourable light internationally. There are enough pieces there that perhaps the UK could be seen as an untrustworthy partner for any future trade agreements, for example. And certainly if the UK was to go down the route of taking steps outside what is permitted within the Northern Ireland Protocol in terms of mechanisms for unilateral action and being able to take adjustive measures in terms of how the protocol operates, then certainly the UK would be in a very, very difficult position internationally. And certainly if that relationship with the European Union is sullied in such a way, then that's a very difficult relationship with our next door neighbours as well.